Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe my channel. The afternoon sun shined brightly as I walked along the creek, a familiar route I had taken many times before. I was simply looking for a bit of peace, a moment to escape from the day-to-day grind and to breathe in the fresh wild air. My name is Sarah, and little did I know that my life was about to change forever. The air was sweet with the scent of wild flowers and fresh grass, and an intoxicating blend that always made me feel more alive. I often strolled along this path to clear my mind, to let my thoughts wander wherever they wished, but today something was different. A new presence caught my eye, stopping me in my tracks. Across the field, a chestnut horse stood grazing, its coat gleaming under the sunlight as if it were spun from gold. Its sheer beauty and calm demeanor drew me in, and I found myself walking towards the fence that separated me from this magnificent creature. I wasn't thinking, I wasn't planning, I was simply compelled, as if an invisible force was guiding me closer. As I reached the fence, the horse lifted its head and gazed at me with soft, intelligent eyes. There was a stillness in its gaze, a tranquility that made my heart skip a beat. I leaned against the fence, captivated, and without really considering the consequences, I climbed over it. My shoes sank slightly into the soft earth on the other side, and the horse remained unperturbed. As I approached slowly, I extended my hand, unsure of what I was expecting. My fingers brushed against its coat, and I was surprised by the softness of it. The warmth radiating from its body felt comforting and almost familiar. I had never been this close to a horse before, and the sheer size and power of it left me in awe. Yet despite its enormous frame, there was a gentleness about it that put me at ease. I stroked its side, feeling the steady rise and fall of its breath. The horse leaned into my touch, seeming to enjoy the attention, and I smiled at its relaxed posture. Encouraged by its calm response, I decided to explore a bit further. My hand moved lower, tracing the contours of its body, every inch an adventure, every stroke a new discovery. I was entirely engrossed in the moment, enchanted by the animal's quiet presence. There was an inexplicable connection, a silent bond forming between us, and I found myself lingering, savoring every second of this unexpected encounter. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm golden glow over everything it touched. As I walked along the familiar path by the creek, it was one of those afternoons where the world felt at peace and the air seemed to hum with a quiet energy. My name is Sarah, and little did I know that this walk would lead to a moment that would forever change my life. The air was thick with the scent of wild flowers and fresh grass, a combination that always stirred something within me. I wandered along this path, regularly enjoying the solace it offered, the chance to let my thoughts drift and settle. But today, as I walked, something caught my eye, a presence calm yet magnetic. Across the meadow, a stunning chestnut horse stood grazing, its coat shimmering under the sun like polished copper. I was instantly drawn to it, captivated by its beauty and the serene grace with which it moved. Without a second thought, I found myself drifting toward the fence that separated me from this magnificent creature. It was as if I were being pulled, compelled by something beyond my control. As I approached the fence, the horse lifted its head and our eyes met. There was an intelligence in its gaze, something that seemed to understand me in a way no words ever could. I felt a flutter of excitement mixed with a touch of trepidation. As I climbed over the fence, my feet sank into the soft earth on the other side, and I stood there just a few steps away from the animal, which hadn't moved an inch. Slowly, almost hesitantly, I extended my hand. The horse didn't flinch or step back. Instead, it remained perfectly still, as if waiting. My fingers brushed its coat, and a shiver ran through me. The warmth of its body, the softness of its fur, it was nothing like I had Imagined I was close enough now to feel its breath warm and steady, and I was struck by its sheer size and strength, yet there was a gentleness in its gaze, a sense of calm that made me feel safe. I began to stroke its side, marveling at the feel of its powerful muscles beneath my hand. As my fingers moved across its body, I felt an unexpected thrill, a kind of electric connection that took me by surprise. It was unlike anything I had ever experienced, an intense awareness of both the animal and myself. The horse seemed to sense my touch, leaning into it slightly, its eyes half closed as if savoring the moment as much as I was emboldened by its response. I moved closer, tracing the contours of its body, each touch awakening a new sensation within me. I had never been this close to a horse before, and I felt a deepening connection, an unspoken bond forming between us. The world around me faded into the background as I lost myself in the rhythm of its breathing, the feel of its warm coat beneath my fingertips. The sun continued to dip lower, casting long shadows across the meadow, but I hardly noticed. I was caught up in the moment, enchanted by the horse's presence and unaware of the world outside our little bubble. It was just the two of us alone in the fading light, sharing something indescribable, something that felt both exhilarating and forbidden. With each passing moment, I found myself drawn even closer to the horse. It stood still, breathing deeply, seeming to enjoy my touch as much as I did. There was something incredibly captivating about the way its body responded to my hand. The sheet radiating from its skin felt almost alive, pulsing beneath my fingers, sending a thrill through me that I hadn't anticipated. I moved my hand lower, grazing along its flank, feeling the powerful muscles tense and release with every gentle stroke. I was mesmerized, as if in a trance, my own breath matching the rhythm of the horse's steady inhalations. A quiet calm enveloped us, punctuated only by the soft rustle of grass beneath its hooves and the occasional flick of its tail. The sun dipped further, casting a warm glow across the field, and I lost myself in the sensations and the closeness of this incredible creature. I felt a sense of freedom, of exhilaration, as if I had tapped into something raw and primal. There was an unspoken connection, an understanding that passed between us in silence, in the way the horse's gaze softened as I drew nearer. As I ran my fingers down the horse's side, I noticed details I hadn't before: the way its coat shone with a deep, rich hue, the gentle rise and fall of its ribs, the warmth that seeped into my skin. I felt as though I were discovering a hidden part of myself, something that had lain dormant until this very moment. Without thinking, I stepped even closer, pressing my hand flat against its side, feeling the heartbeat beneath my palm. It was a steady, comforting rhythm, grounding me. Even as I felt my own heart, I trailed my hand lower, still marveling at the smoothness, the sleek power I could feel just below the surface. The horse shifted slightly, and I hesitated, uncertain if I over, but then it relaxed, leaning into my touch, and a rush of relief washed over me. I felt emboldened, my curiosity intensifying as I explored my fingers, tracing the contours of its body, each touch awakening a new sensation. The world around us seemed to fade, leaving just the two of us in the golden light of the late afternoon, caught in a moment that felt timeless. I was acutely aware of every sensation: the softness of the horse's coat, the solid warmth beneath, the way it seemed to respond to my touch with a quiet trust. It felt almost sacred, this connection, as if I had stumbled into a hidden world where only we existed. My fingers lingered, savoring the feel of its body, and I felt an inexplicable thrill coursing through me, one that left me breathless, craving more. As I moved my hand further down, my curiosity took hold, stronger than any caution I might have had. I had never been this close to a horse, never had a reason to explore one in such detail, but now that I was here I couldn't resist. I found myself fascinated, caught up in the moment, allowing myself to indulge in a sense of wonder that felt entirely new. My hand slid along its side, feeling the taut muscles beneath my fingertips, the warmth that radiated from its body. I let my fingers roam, tracing the curves of its powerful frame, marveling at the texture of its coat. Every touch seemed to amplify the connection between us, creating a tension that was both thrilling and oddly comforting. I allowed my fingers to wander lower, brushing along the horse's belly where the skin was softer, warmer. There was something hypnotic about the feel of its body, the way it responded to my touch with quiet acceptance. I could feel my heart racing, my breath quickening, and yet the horse remained calm, almost as if it understood the depth of my fascination. I continued to explore, feeling the contours of its muscular legs, the smoothness of its coat, the strength that laid beneath. With each touch I felt a rush of adrenaline, a thrill that I hadn't expected but couldn't ignore. It was as if I were discovering an entirely new side of myself, one that craved this connection, this closeness, with a desperation that defied logic. As I stroked its flank, my fingers brushed against a place I hadn't intended, a place that felt strangely intimate. I froze, my heart pounding, wondering if I had gone too far, but the horse didn't flinch, didn't pull away. Instead, it leaned into me, a gentle movement that seemed to encourage me, to reassure me. My curiosity flared, and before I could stop myself, I reached out again, touching the place that had caught my attention. The texture was different here, softer, warmer, and I felt a strange excitement bubbling up inside me, one that I didn't quite understand but was eager to explore. I ran my fingers over the area, marveling at the way it felt beneath my touch, the way the horse seemed to accept me without hesitation. There was a sense of freedom in this moment, a feeling of connection that went beyond words, beyond reason. I was captivated, unable to pull myself away, drawn deeper into this strange, thrilling encounter. It was as if I had unlocked a part of myself that I hadn't known existed, one that craved this closeness, this intimacy, in a way that left me breathless. As I lingered, my fingers brushed along the horse's lower belly, feeling the gentle curve of its body, the warmth that seemed to pulse beneath my touch. I felt a strange thrill rise within me, a sensation unlike anything I had ever felt before. There was something both exhilarating and forbidden about this moment, and I was utterly consumed by it. Before I could think twice, my hand moved even lower, driven by a curiosity that now felt almost unstoppable. I knew somewhere in the back of my mind that I was crossing a line, but I was too captivated to care. My fingers found their way to a place that felt strangely intimate, and I paused, my heart racing, feeling a rush of excitement mixed with a touch of apprehension. I let my fingers linger, exploring the unfamiliar texture, marveling at the warmth and softness beneath my touch. The horse stood perfectly still, breathing deeply, its body seeming to resonate with mine, as if we were connected on a level that transcended words. I felt a strange sense of satisfaction as I continued to explore, my curiosity fueling my every movement. As I moved my hand further, I felt the horse respond, a subtle shift that sent a shiver through me. I was both thrilled and terrified, caught between a desire to continue and a fear of where this might lead. But the horse didn't pull away. Instead, it seemed to lean into me, accepting my touch, encouraging me. My heart pounded in my chest, and I felt a warmth spreading through me, an intense, almost dizzying sensation that left me breathless. I was utterly captivated, unable to pull myself away, lost in the moment and the strange, thrilling connection that had formed between us. It was as if I had unlocked a part of myself that I had never known existed, a part that craved this intimacy, this closeness in a way that defied reason. The sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows across the field, but I hardly noticed. I was completely engrossed. My senses overwhelmed, my mind racing with thoughts and emotions that I couldn't fully comprehend. I knew on some level that I was venturing into dangerous territory, but I couldn't bring myself to stop. It was only when I heard a noise behind me, a rustling in the grass, that I snapped back to reality. I turned, my heart pounding, and saw a figure standing by the fence. It was Jake. He had seen everything. Jake's face was a mask of shock and disgust, his eyes wide as he took in the scene before him. My heart dropped, a wave of cold fear washing over me as I realized the depth of what I had done. I opened my mouth to speak, to explain, but no words came out. There was nothing I could say that would make any of this right. Sarah, Jake's voice was strained, full of disbelief and anger. What the hell are you doing? I tried to respond, but my voice failed me. I could see the pain in his eyes, the hurt and betrayal that I had caused, and I felt a crushing weight to settle on my chest. I wanted to tell him that it wasn't what it looked like, that I hadn't meant for any of this to happen, but I knew the truth. I had crossed a line, and there was no going back. Jake took a step back, shaking his head as if trying to make sense of what he had just witnessed. I could see the anger building in his expression, a storm of emotions that I had unleashed with my actions. He looked at me with a mixture of horror and disbelief, and I felt my stomach twist with guilt and shame. I can't believe this, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. How could you do this? The full weight of my actions hit me then, and I felt a surge of regret and self-loathing. I tried to reach out to him, but he pulled away, his face contorted with anger. I could see the walls going up between us, the distance that my actions had created, and I knew that I had shattered something precious, something that I might never be able to repair. I need space, Jake finally said, his voice cold and distant. I need time to process this. I don't even know who you are anymore. With that, he turned and walked away, leaving me alone in the field, surrounded by the remnants of my own betrayal. I sank to my knees, feeling the tears welling up as the reality of what I had done settled over me. I had let my curiosity get the best of me, and now I was paying the price. I had lost Jake, and I had no one to blame but myself. In the days that followed, I found myself spiraling, consumed by regret and shame. Jake had temporarily moved out, leaving a void in our home that seemed to echo with the memory of what I had done. I was alone with my thoughts, trapped in a cycle of self-determination and sorrow. I knew I had to face what I had done to understand why I had been driven to such reckless curiosity. Desperate for answers, I sought the help of a therapist, someone who could help me make sense of my actions. It wasn't easy to open up about what had happened, to lay bare the parts of myself that I barely understood, but I knew that if I had any hope of repairing my relationship with Jake, I had to confront the reasons behind my behavior. In therapy, I began to unravel the complexities of my emotions. I explored the boredom and restlessness that had crept into my life, the feelings I had ignored for so long. I realized that on some level I had been searching for excitement, for something that made me feel alive, but I hadn't considered the cost, the way my actions would ripple out and affect those around me. Meanwhile, Jake and I communicated through brief, tense phone calls. He needed time and space to process what had happened, but I could sense the pain in his voice, the way my betrayal had shaken him to his core. I knew that he still cared for me, but I also knew that rebuilding our relationship would be a long and difficult journey. After weeks of therapy and introspection, I finally reached out to Jake, asking if he would be willing to Join me for a session. To my surprise, he agreed, and we began the tentative process of working through our issues. Together it wasn't easy. There were tears, angry words, moments where it felt like we were on the brink of breaking, but there were also glimmers of hope, small moments where I could see the love that still existed between us, waiting to be rekindled. Together we began to navigate the painful landscape of betrayal and forgiveness. I had to confront the harm I had caused, to face the hurt in Jake's eyes and acknowledge the damage I had done, but I also saw the strength in him, the resilience that had kept him going. Despite everything, slowly, cautiously, we started to rebuild, laying down the foundations of trust, one small step at a time. Each day was a struggle, but with each session I felt a little stronger, a little more capable of facing the consequences of my actions. I knew that I could never undo what I had done, but I was determined to prove to Jake that I was committed to change, to becoming the partner he deserved. Months passed, and little by little Jake and I began to piece our lives back together. It wasn't a smooth journey. There were moments of anger, doubt, and sorrow, but with each passing day I could feel the weight lifting, the wounds beginning to heal. We had taken the first steps toward forgiveness, and though it was a long road, I knew that we were on it. Together we continued therapy, both as individuals and as a couple, facing the difficult truths and unspoken fears that had driven us apart. We learned to communicate, to share our feelings openly instead of letting them fester. I found strength in Jake's willingness to listen, to see past my mistakes, and to believe in the person I was striving to become. In turn, I worked tirelessly to prove to him that I was capable of change, that I was committed to being the partner he deserved. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset paint the sky with shades of gold and pink, Jake turned to me. His expression was soft, his eyes filled with a mixture of pain and hope. "Hope, Sarah," he said quietly, "I want you to know that I'm trying to forgive you. It hasn't been easy, and there are still days when I feel the hurt more than others, but I can see how hard you're working, and I know you're truly sorry." Tears filled my eyes as I reached for his hand, feeling the warmth of his touch, the strength in his grip. "Thank you, Jake. I promise I'll never take your forgiveness for granted. I'm here, and I'll keep showing up every day to make this right." We held each other, and in that moment I felt a glimmer of hope. I knew that we still had a long way to go, but I also knew that we were on this path together, facing the future with a newfound resilience. As the months turned into years, we rebuilt our lives piece by piece, brick by brick. The memories of that day lingered, a reminder of the mistakes I had made and the lessons I had learned, but rather than letting them define us, we used them as a foundation, a testament to the strength of our love and the power of forgiveness. In time, we began to talk about the future, about starting a family and building a life filled with love and laughter. And though I knew that the scars would always remain, I also knew that they were a part of our story, a symbol of the challenges we had overcome. As I reflect on this journey, I'm grateful for the lessons it has taught me, the importance of self-awareness, the value of open communication, and the incredible strength it takes to forgive. I know that I will carry these lessons with me for the rest of my life, and that I am a better person for having faced them. Jake and I may never be perfect, but we're stronger now, bound by a love that has been tested and proven true. And as we look toward the future, I'm filled with hope and gratitude for the second chance we have been given. Our story may not be one of fairy tales, but it is real, and it is ours. Together we will continue to build a life that honors the strength of our love and the resilience of our hearts. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe my channel.